Other interesting political news, you have Kevin McCarthy doing something. I know, I'm shocked as well. And they're apparently going to finally try to impeach Biden after 6, 8+ months. Now, he gave a little video, and of course he has a little text before it. Now, I'll go ahead and I'll dive in. And again, I apologize. For the life of me, I can't tell how the focus is doing these days. I need to get a jumbotron to put it on the opposite wall so I can better see things. Or eventually we'll grow the channel enough where I actually hire some folks full time where they can assist with the show and make sure it's always perfectly in focus. And of course, get the picture in picture. Ideally, I don't know why, I just think it'll be above that shoulder. Intuitively, perhaps. And again, let me know if you have a software you recommend in the comments. We greatly appreciate it. I've researched a couple, and I've tried a couple, but a couple of them just keep crashing. Now, Kevin did some text before the video. So Kevin McCarthy said, quote, again, he's a speaker. He is saying, quote, I'm directing our House committees to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. Over the past several months, House Republicans have uncovered serious and credible allegations into President Biden's conduct, a cult of corruption, unquote. Now, there are a couple issues in terms of not taking a vote, and we'll dive into that shortly. But without too much further ado, I'll play it with a...
Months that we were gone and the weeks, House Republicans have uncovered serious and credible allegations into President Biden's conduct. Taken together, these allegations paint a picture of a culture of corruption. Now, here's what we know so far. Through our investigations, we have found that President Biden did lie to the American people about his own knowledge of his family's foreign business dealings. Eyewitnesses have testified that the president joined on multiple phone calls and had multiple interactions. Dinners resulted in cars and millions of dollars.
Well, that's interesting because we were told they had no involvement at all. Completely disconnected is what we were told. And of course, they would never lie to us. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's like their specialty.
To his sons and his sons' business partners. We know that bank records show that nearly $20 million in payments were directed to the Biden family members and associates through various shell companies. The Treasury Department alone has more than 150 transactions involving the Biden family and other business associates that were flagged as suspicious activity by U.S. banks. Even a trusted FBI informant has alleged a bribe to the Biden family. Biden used his official office to coordinate with Hunter Biden's business partners about Hunter's role in Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company. Finally, despite these serious allegations, it appears that the president's family has been off.
And then when it comes to the Ukraine issue with now they're getting over $100 billion to get them thus far and counting. That's a fascinating thing where Biden admitted it. So Biden's son was making, $74,000 a month working at this energy company, being on the board of directors, because nothing says you know a lot about energy like a crackhead. Well, they certainly have a lot of energy. They move around a lot, apparently. So perhaps there may be some correlation, but obviously I'm joking. So he was making about, I think, $75,000 a month. And apparently there's an investigation in the Ukraine where someone was looking into the corruption. And Biden said, if you don't drop this investigation, you don't get this $1 billion from the United States. And on stage, in front of people, Biden said, oh yeah, they effing dropped it after I said that. And again, if this were a Republican president, I guarantee you this would be on CNN, MSNBC, 24/7, and yet hardly anyone paid attention in this case. Which is partially, politically speaking, I think Biden's strength is that people just don't perceive him as being any threat because he's so, some might say, mentally compromised, or the marketing behind him just always seems soft, so to say.
Offered special treatment by Biden's own administration. Treatment that not otherwise would have received if they were not related to the president. These are allegations of abuse of power, obstruction, and corruption. And they warrant further investigation by the House of Representatives. That's why today I am directing our House committee to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. This logical next step will give our committees the full power to gather all the facts and answers for the American public. It's exactly what we want to know, the answers. I believe the President would want to answer these questions and allegations as well. This effort will be led by Chairman James Comer at the Committee on Oversight, in coordination with Chairman Jim Jordan for Judiciary Committee and Chairman Jason Smith on Ways and Means. Now, I do not make this decision lightly. And regardless of your party or who you voted for, these facts should concern all Americans. The American people deserve to know that the public offices are not for sale, and that the federal government is not being used to cover up the actions of a politically associated family. Now, I would encourage the President and his team to fully cooperate with this investigation in the interests of transparency. We are committed to getting the answers for the American public. Nothing more, nothing less. We will go wherever the evidence takes us. Thank you very much.
So, I'll be damned. Republicans are appearing to do something, which I should have taken the history book off the shelf to note this because it is a rare instance. Now, will there be substance behind this investigation? I think that's the real question. And well, in terms of substance, we know there's a lot of evidence. There's even evidence the public sees. Now, when I say substance, I mean, will Republicans actually do something about this? Now, interesting enough, some of the comments were mixed, as this is a politically diverse topic. Obviously, if you're in the middle, you probably see the corruption yourself. Or if you're on the right, you see the corruption and it's just a politics thing as well a little bit. So they're happy. But then you have people on the left, hilariously, who are calling this a witch hunt, which can't help but be reminiscent of all the investigations on Trump, which again turned out being nothing, like the Russian allegations. Turned out the Clintons actually invented the whole thing, but nevertheless. And when it comes to Clintons, I must say I love life. I never take my own life, for the record. Now you have the top comments, Mr. Dave Wiseman, saying, "quote This is nothing more than an abuse of power, on brand for Kevin McCarthy." Unquote. Now, interestingly enough, I looked at this person's profile. They are a radical leftist. Definitely not in the middle. Definitely not in the right. And someone who praised Trump being prosecuted for and actually investigated into. It'll be interesting to see if anything sticks on Trump. That's where I'm a little skeptical. We'll see. Now, that response got 146.2 thousand views and 4,131 likes, coming in a ratio of 2.83%. Not too shabby. Now, it looks like you have somebody named of MAGA Michelle. Well, kind of guess her political identity there. And her responding to David above, the guy who said abuse of power, she said, they have evidence to impeach, they should impeach. Remember when Democrats impeached Trump over a whistleblower with no evidence? Unquote. Now, she got 30,500 or 30.5 thousand views and 7.1% ratio. So, when it comes to the ratio wars, 7.1, I know public schools are all-time low for test scores, particularly mathematics. 7.1 is greater than 2.83. As youth might say, she ratioed him. You also have somebody by the name of Andrew C. Lawfer bringing up a good point. He says, quote, "Why didn't you hold a vote on whether to have an impeachment inquiry, Kevin?" Unquote. This person got 27.7 thousand views and 755 likes, coming in at 2.73% ratio. Now, that also brings together a good point, because it's one of those instances where they critiqued the Democrats for doing this exact same thing in terms of launching the impeachment without the vote. And it's also an issue where, let's say they find even more evidence than we already have. Well, they would have to count on Republicans to vote for it. Counting on Republicans to vote strategically for something that would benefit the Republican Party is like winning the lottery. I'm not saying it never happens. It's happened. But the odds are 1 in 386 million or something like that. Like, so many of them just abdicate from responsibility for doing the right thing. they consistently are. I mean, rhinos are a dime a dozen. The Republican names only, the pejorative term for those turncoats. They consistently vote for the other party on many things that are ideologically key to their beliefs, or supposed to be key to their beliefs. So that's the issue here. Let's say they find all the evidence here. Democrats are going to vote for impeachment. I wouldn't think they're going to switch sides. Politically speaking, the Democrats are they're very organized. They don't break ranks, so to say. They vote as a monolith, which perhaps helps because of the lack of mental capacity. Kind of joking because we're talking about Fetterman in a couple minutes here, but it's also one of those issues where, from a strategic political view, that's good. Is it good for the country? No, I think it's actually best when you have both sides discussing and debating all topics and voting appropriately, especially based on your local constituents. I don't think it's necessarily good for our country when we just vote based on your party affiliation. I think that could be long-term detrimental, actually. Perhaps one of the things leading to this precipice of the moments. Now, you also have someone by the name of Joey Mariano saying, quote, "Took my 9 months and gats having to nearly throw you out," unquote. He got 33,000 views and 2,899 likes. Pretty good, coming out a ratio of 8.78%, winning the ratio of the day. Now, that's another good point. They took 9 months to get off their ass and do this, pardon the French. And Matt Gaetz, he is one of the few Republicans who actually has a spine, which is hard to find. Most of them, I would say most politicians these days, pretty squirmy or slimy. Swirly, slime, all of the above. And Matt Gaetz did actually threaten Mr. McCarthy with his speakership role, saying, "We gave you these powers to do these things, but you're not doing anything." The Democrats on the other side, they've actually had Trump's son come and several times have to testify. Yet, the crackhead who has been doing these international deals and pretty clearly selling influence, he hasn't been called in once, I don't think. Because he's, again, so are they really going to have the votes to do anything about this? Or are they just posturing for, is he just doing this to make Matt Gaetz happy and maybe make some voters happy? So those instances where Republicans could have overturned Obamacare back in the day, but they didn't, I suspect because it was a political thing they could use to gain votes, influence, and money from their supporters. They could have overturned it. They didn't. They barely tried, I believe. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any teeth to this bite, so to say. Let me know in the comments. Do you think if they find even more evidence, will they have the votes to actually do anything about it? Or will Republicans just acquiesce for more responsibility? Will Democrats change their side? Will they vote differently? Let me know in the comments. I'd be fascinated to see where you think it's going to go. Thank you again for taking the time to tune in today. Again, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of September, so you click that button. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, the comments are really appreciated. I take the feedback seriously. I try to get to all of them when I can, and appreciate the cordial conversations we're able to have each other, and the feedback that helps make the show better. And if you have any software suggestions, greatly appreciate that. Try to get the picture-in-picture, and if we work together, we'll make it better slowly but surely. Also, don't forget to take the time to like the video because that helps out with the algorithm as well. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.